What's going on? This is Kareem from DJBooth.net, and I'm here in the lab to give you guys a full-out HD video review of the Numark Mixtrack Pro 2 digital DJ controller.
You know what happened when good music and MMG get together, right? We get that money. Millions in the ceiling. Millions in the ceiling. Shoppers in the closet. Shoppers in the closet. Shoppers in the closet. Shoppers in the closet. Millions in the ceiling. Millions in the ceiling. Shoppers in the closet. Shoppers in the closet. Shoppers in the closet. Shoppers in the closet. This that shit that y'all wanted. 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 This shit cook up hard, don't it? Y'all gotta beg my pardon on it. But this shit sound like God, don't it? Yeah. I'm tired, nigga. This shit sound like God, don't it? Yeah. I'm tired, nigga. Yeah. I'm tired, nigga. Yeah. I'm tired, nigga. And y'all got to pay y'all tithes, nigga. Call my fan on the Holy Ghost. Church on chrome or ties, nigga. Pop tags when I'm paranoid, cause a pawn shop was my paradise. I was dead pop when the powder came for that not saved in that shoebox.
Okay everyone, so here it is, the Numark Mixtrack Pro 2 digital DJ controller. And basically this is the newly updated version of the original Numark Mixtrack Pro, which was a very good entry-level or beginner DJ controller. It was very nice right out of the box. You had mostly everything you needed to do all of your basic DJ functions and DJ controls. And you also had pretty good response on your fader and your jog wheels. And the same is the case for the Mixtrack Pro 2. And it also adds a little bit more functionality, and it brings it up to date into the new year and the new realm of DJ controllers of this time. So overall impressions is very good. You do have an all plastic construction here, but it does have a nice brushed aluminum look to the top face, even though it is plastic. And around the sides you also have a nice plastic construction with a nice silver band that makes it look again like it is metal, but it is plastic here for sure. Next up on the overall impressions, you have nice jog wheels. You still have a pretty good size to them. They are a little bit thinner than the original model. And you also have these new intuitive 16 pad section, which allows you to control things like loops, samples, cue points, and effects. So along with overall impressions, you also notice that there is a set of RCAs in the back. That is your only output. You also have your USB connection. There is no power connection, so you are 100% fully USB powered. Along the side is where you'll find your mic gain control knob and your 1/4-inch mic input. And you also find your headphone 1/4-inch and mini outputs on the side as well. The setup is fairly easy. It comes with Serato DJ Intro, and that comes with 3 cue points, your 4 samples, and a decent number of effects, and enough to get you started into the realm of the digital DJ. For a small fee of $129, you can upgrade to the full edition of Serato DJ, which gives you a lot more cue points, more sample banks, more control over the software, more effects, and just more in terms of everything that Serato has to offer. But in order to set this up, all you get in the box is your USB cable. You don't even get your drivers. That's because it is fully compliant with Windows. So you plug it right into your Windows or your Mac and you are automatically ready to go. You only have to download Serato DJ Intro from the Serato DJ website and you're ready to go. You don't have to fiddle around with anything in the setup, anything in your preferences. Everything just works as soon as you plug it in. You're ready to drag your music into your deck and you're ready to play. Very easy setup, one of the easiest that I've ever done on a DJ controller. Okay, next up we're just going to run down the mixing portion of the controller, which is right here in the middle. And you have at the bottom your crossfader. Crossfader is very loose. Everything feels really plasticky, but they do feel like they're going to last and that they should hold up for enough of normal abuse. This is not really a scratch DJ type of device, so you wouldn't really use it for that primary reason, although the scratch response and the cut and distance is acceptable for a regular DJ who's scratching normally. It's a little bit long for a turntablist or a true scratch DJ. The cut and distance will be around 3 or maybe a little bit more millimeters, but you'll still be able to pull off most of your scratches and everything with this crossfader. Next up, you have your line faders and your master fader, which is in the middle. They're nice and smooth, a little bit smoother of a feel than the crossfader, and it's easy to accurately get the right volume level that you need. Next up, you have your load A, load B, back button, and browse knob. This is an oversized knob that clicks every time you go to a new line in your navigation. You can press this button to go next, or you can press back to back out to your previous folder or previous lists. And when you're selecting a song that you want to play in deck A, you load deck A, and when you're ready to load deck B, you press load B. Next up, you have your Q section. The Q buttons allow you to pre-listen or preview what's in your headphones. Depending on which side you have pressed, you can listen to that separate from your main. And this is the knob that allows you to go between whatever you have in the Q, whatever you have pressed, versus whatever you have playing in your master. It's almost like a fader knob. Next up, you have your Q gain, which is just the volume control knob for your headphones. Next up, you have your bass, mid, and treble 3-band full kill EQ for both decks. They're plastic knobs, plastic post all the way through, but they feel pretty good and they work really good in practice. One of my minor gripes with the unit is that you don't have any level meters, or you don't have any gain knobs at the top. So the Serato DJ Intro software does have a way to show you when you hit your limit. There's a little light in the upper right hand corner that lets you know whether or not you hit your limit. But to me, I'd rather have a good old-fashioned gain knob here, or at least some meters so I can tell which one is going to be higher than the other, and I can adjust my volume knobs accordingly. But the software does an adequate job on it. But yet and still, I'm a little bit of the old school kind of guy, and I like to have some gain knobs to, control my gain. Next up, we'll speak about the decks. The decks have stutter button, play pause, cue, and sync, and you also have your scratch button. These are all plastic buttons, all your normal transport controls. Very easy to use. Your scratch button turns your jog wheel from a scratch jog wheel into just a regular pitch bend type jog wheel. So when you have it on scratch, the operation is very, very nice. It's just as good as the original Mixtrack. So I know some people were worried. They were worried that perhaps the new Mixtrack didn't have as good of jog wheels as the old one, and I can put that to rest and let you know that these are just as good. They may be a little more shallow, but they work very good in practice, and I had some fun using them. I was able to pull off my juggles as well, so they're accurate. They're not super high resolution because there are some quick movements that I can do that doesn't pick up all of the sound as if I were playing on a record player. So they're not super high resolution, but they're high enough in order to get most of your scratching and most of your jog wheel needs out of the way. So when you're not in scratch mode, you basically have a pitch bend button here when you're playing the song.
Not saved in that shoebox, blue tops.
Okay, next up we have the 16 pads, and that means you're getting a very nice pad, a nice feel to it, all rubberized. They have a light that illuminates below for a backlit. They're not pressure sensitive and they are not multicolored and backlit, but this is all you're really going to need to control the software how you need to. So the top 4 are for effects. You have your 3 effects. You can have 3 effects at a time on one deck in DJ Intro, and you turn them on and off by pressing the pads. And then you have your beats counter here that will change the beat of your effect, or you have the volume control knob that will turn up or down the effect gain. When you press shift and you hit one of these buttons, you're going to get an auto loop. The first one will be an auto loop of 1 bar, second one 2 bars, third one 4 bars, and fourth one is 16 bars. Next up, you have your 4 bottom pads. Now your 4 bottom pads are used to control loops, samples, cues, and to grow and half your loops. So When you're in loop mode, you press shift and the loop button, and you see this little light illuminates here. That means you're in loop mode. And then you can just press loop in, loop out, or re-loop at your disposal. Next up, you're in sample mode. When you press the second one, you see the little LED is lit there. And when you're in sample mode, you can control your 4 sample banks that are in Serato DJ Intro. You can load anything into them, and you can mash them and play them at your discretion. Next up is your cue mode. You have your 3 cue points here, and when you're ready to delete, you hold down your last cue point and you delete them by just tapping on the button you wish to delete. Last but not least, we have the tempo slider for your speed and your pitch range and your pitch bend buttons. The pitch slider does not have a middle click, but it does have a little light that lets you know when you're at absolute 0. The tempo slider is a bit on the short side. I like to have a little bit longer usually to get to ride the pitch a little bit better, but once you get used to using the smaller band, it's not really an issue at all. Next up, you have your pitch bend buttons at the top and your key lock and your range, so you can change the range of the pitch as well. Okay, so in conclusion, the Numark Mixtrack Pro 2 is a very nice update to the original Mixtrack Pro. It does everything the original Mixtrack Pro does plus more. They have a very compact and lightweight and sleek design compared to the last model. It's very easy to set it up. All you have to do is plug in your USB, plug it into your computer, and then you download Serato DJ Intro and you're automatically ready to go. One of the easiest setup procedures I've ever been through. It also comes bundled with Serato DJ Intro and is fully MIDI mappable. There's also a nice 16 rubber performance pads, and they control your samples, your cues, your effects, and your loops in a very nice and intuitive way. A better way, that I say, than the original Mixtrack Pro. On the downside, there are no gain knobs or level meters to let you know exactly where you are in the mix. It's not too much of an issue since Serato DJ Intro does a pretty good job at getting your levels just right, but I would like to have a manual way that I can override that and change my gains. And there is a limited number of inputs and outputs. You know, it's a beginner controller. I expect that as such, but it's worth pointing out that you're only going to get your 1 set of outputs and your headphone and your 1 mic. The other downside is that it's an all plastic construction, and again, Numark did this in order to save on weight, save on cost, so they can translate the cost to the consumer. But it's worth mentioning and pointing out that if you're going to travel and use this on the go a lot, that you're going to want something to protect it. Other than that, this is a very good controller, great for beginners, great for your entry-level DJ, or anyone who just wants a nice little compact setup in a Serato format that they want to, you know, take it with them on the go just to DJ in tight confines or small spaces. So for more on the full written review, head on over to www.djbooth.net/DJS. Make sure you come back, check us out for all of our fresh new updates that are done every day, Monday through Friday. And keep subscribing to us on the Twitter channel. The Twitter handle there is @DJBlaze_DJBooth. And keep on subscribing to the YouTube channel. This way you know exactly when the new videos, new reviews, and new DIYs are coming up next. Thanks for watching.